4 teens accused of carjacking and dragging Linda Frickey to her death last March could be pushed back to next year. The trial is scheduled for November of this year, but could be delayed as both sides argue about DNA testing. David Jones was in court and has more.
Lee, the state maintains all of this back and forth about independent DNA testing on the part of the defense attorneys for 2 of the teens is just a delay tactic. The defense is arguing independent DNA testing is a costly and time-consuming process, and they're pushing for a continuance to next year. The Supreme Court ruled in June the trial would have to take place before the year's end, but the defendants also have the right to seek fingerprint and DNA analysis independent from the state, which already tested DNA in the state police crime lab. District Attorney Jason Williams' office had appealed Judge Kimya Holmes' original decision to hold the trial in March of next year, leading to that ruling. But before all that, Holmes had scheduled the trial to take place in April of this year, clearing the docket and summoning 1,500 potential jurors before Williams' office had asked for the original continuance. Frickey's family says they want the trial to stay scheduled as it is now. They say all 4 teens are on camera committing the crime and that all 4 should face justice.
They're trying to get another continuance, which we're going to, fight against, but it's just they're guilty. Let's just face it. They are guilty. They did the crime. They should do the time.
Our understanding is if we go to trial now without them doing their own testing of the DNA, that after trial they can file appeals on the conviction and things like that. They have no reason for the DNA. All they're doing is, it's a stall tactic.
As it stands now, the trial is scheduled for November 20th, but all signs are pointing to a delay as the defense attorneys for John Honore, the alleged driver, and Brenia Baker argue they simply have not finished the testing. 73-year-old Frickey was carjacked and dragged to her death in Mid-City last March. All 4 defendants have pleaded not guilty. All 4 have been found competent to stand trial together. All were juveniles at the time, and all are being tried as adults. Holmes scheduled another pretrial conference to address the DNA issues for October 19th. She was clearly frustrated by both the state and the defense today, saying she would consider putting a gag order in place going forward. Meg?